So again, for the record, thank you for joining us. My name is Jonathan Jones. It's my pleasure, my privilege to be your host and moderator for this afternoon. We have a number of folks that are helping us out here as co-hosts, but we've got several of those who have. In fact, Jeff Ashby is here, and he's the one that first introduced me to the company Engage Global and Dr. Kedar Prasad. And when I had a chance to look over the information about Dr. Prasad and his research, I sent the information to a medical doctor and oncologist that I was working with at the time, Dr. Jarir Nakuzi, and I said, "You have to look at this. I'm being told some crazy things about what Dr. Prasad has done. Would you mind looking at his research?" So he calls back. I don't know, maybe a couple months later. He never does anything fast, but he will look over anything. He says, "This man is brilliant. I must get in front of him. I must speak to this man." So I said to Jeff, Jeff, Nakuzi wants to meet Prasad. How can that happen? He says, "Well, he's going to be in Atlanta," and don't remember the time period, but I'm pretty sure this was around 2016, Jeff, maybe somewhere in that area. And
Yeah, it was right about that 2016.
okay, so Nakuzi wintered in Florida, so we hopped on a plane or got in a car and drove him up to Atlanta because that's where Prasad was going to be. And that was my first time meeting him as well. And I was pretty impressed just because I didn't know that much about the science behind it, but Nakuzi now did. And now he could speak professional to professional with Prasad. And he came away from it completely impressed and convinced that Dr. Prasad had come up with something unique. And now we have evidence of it. We have evidence that Dr. Prasad's formulas are making a difference, is making a difference in the lives of many people. And again, some of you may even have someone in your life that has benefited from Dr. Prasad's formulas, and we're going to have a chance to talk about that. Presenter view. Okay, I need to try to see presenter view now. I think you guys are seeing the right screen, so I think we got the bugs here worked out. Okay, but today is October the 6th, 2024, and it's a little bit after 5 o'clock now, and we're just going to it's not going to be a very long meeting today because, as we announced last week, Dr. Prasad announced that he was going to be in India doing a presentation. I think he said India this weekend. So that's where he is now. And he was presenting his latest research to a group of professional scientists and doctors. And they were very interested in his information and the research that he had come across. Dr. Prasad took details of several of the cases that we had been featuring here on this program on Sundays. He took printouts. One in particular that he seemed to be extremely interested in because there was so much documentation on it was the melanoma case where the woman that had the wound on her foot that didn't seem to be there 15 days after she started on Dr. Prasad's formula. And that was pretty remarkable. So that's where he is today. But we're still going to share with you a lot of his concepts and primarily just the testimonials that we want to share with you of those who have had good results with Dr. Prasad's formulas. And before we begin, we have an obligation to remind you that the FDA has not evaluated these statements. You're going to be hearing some testimonials from individuals or recordings. Results are atypical. Testimonials are purely anecdotal. What that means is that what happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Neither the Healthcare Support Association of America, Engage Global, Dr. Prasad, Jonathan Jones, or Jeff Ashby, or any of the co-hosts are making any claims that any supplements that we discuss will treat or cure any disease. Only the federal government can declare a nutritional supplement to be a treatment or cure for a disease. So this presentation is for information and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for a visit to your primary healthcare physician. We strongly recommend that you seek the medical advice of professionals that you trust. Okay, so this is for information and educational purposes only. So one piece of information that you need to be aware of is just how pervasive breast cancer is. According to the latest AI models, the research indicates that in 2024, it is expected that 310,720 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed. To 2,800 new cases in men here in the United States. And I had not heard of too many cases of men getting breast cancer, but about 3 months or so ago, a friend of mine, we graduated from high school the same year. Turns out his father was diagnosed with breast cancer and still fighting the situation. There will also, according to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, be 56,500 cases of ductal carcinoma, a non-invasive form of breast cancer, also here in the United States. It's also estimated that 42,250 women will die from breast cancer in 2024. That's just a lot of deaths. Breast cancer mortality rates have decreased, according to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, by 44% since 1989. And the researchers and the statistics all kind of indicate that this is because of advanced screening and better early diagnosis of the condition. And according to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, 517,900 deaths were avoided during that time period. But it's still a very serious matter. They also go on to say that there's a 99% chance 5-year survival rate. So 99% of those who get it can survive some 5 years. The average age risk, the average age of diagnosis for women is 62 years. And it's really interesting that somewhere around 20 some odd years or so ago, there were beginning to be cases of breast cancer found in younger and younger and younger women, some as young as 15 years old. And that was just baffling to most people. And they say here that it's only 9% of the cases occur in women under 45. So they're saying now that it's rare. And I dare not challenge these statistics. I don't feel that those statistics are necessarily wrong, but I do know that when it comes to statistics, you can sometimes, hear what you want to hear. You can also kind of make things, slant things a certain way. Because remember, there was one time just recently, there was a major illness that was going around. And the statistics that were being presented was that it was there was 96%, 95% effectiveness of certain treatments, and it turns out that those numbers were a little bit inflated. So anyway, you'd have to dig and do some research on that on your own. But still, we're talking about a very serious condition. In fact, every single year, breast cancer awareness is talked about. It's all over every place. You'll have football players running around wearing pink shoes. There'll be individuals wearing pink ribbons. It's everywhere. So a lot of major breast cancer awareness events will take place as well. But those are just some of the latest statistics that I found having to do with this condition. But let's talk about the positive side of it. And one of my favorite examples of individuals who benefited from Dr. Prasad's formulas was Iris, because Iris shared her story, and it was amazing. She combined Dr. Prasad's formulas with conventional treatment on every single level. She did everything, and she was very fortunate to get a very good outcome in her case. So let's take a moment here and let's see if we can't share with you Iris's story. That micro daily makes any treatment better because it protects the good cells and makes the bad cells more susceptible to the treatment. So I think each person make a decision as to how they want to approach it, and I'd love to hear what what kind of results Iris has, because it may help somebody make a decision.
Yep. Here's Iris's.
Most of you know that I did have cancer. I think it was 2018. And I met I've been knowing Miss Dolores for a long time. But then, she introduced me to the microdaily. So with God in prayer and Miss Levette, I decided that I would go ahead on and take the microdaily. And I did it before I had surgery. So I needed to get it in my system. So once I got it into my system, when I had my surgery, I did not have any pain. I did good. Then after that, I did 8 rounds of chemo. And chemo it's poison. It's a lot of poison that's going inside. Okay, didn't get sick one day because I was constantly taking my microdaily, constantly. Then I did 33 rounds of radiation. Didn't get sick, didn't hurt. So now I'm on this thing called tamoxifen. It's the pills after cancer, and one of the side effects is the bones. I should be aching all over. But because, God has prepared me along with Ms. Levette to be great, of course, he allowed me to not have any pain whatsoever. And I go around, I talk to my clients about, a lot of them have blood pressure problems, all of these different problems. I'm like, you know what? I had cancer. And this micro daily, it attacked that cancer. And I tell you, I'm just grateful. And that's my testimony.
Well, Jeff,
There you have it. I mean, how she's been through it. I mean, I just love her comment right there at the end. Hey, you guys that have these other little, these stupid things going on.
You got blood pressure. I had cancer.
I had cancer. So
I love what she said as well.
All right, we're gonna pause there on Iris and the follow-up commentary, because it was kind of remarkable what took place, because she, as you heard, she had 30 some rounds of radiation, she had chemo, she had surgery, but throughout it all, she had 0 side effects from it. And I think we have Dolores. Dolores is maybe on the meeting today. Dolores, are you here? Could you tell us a little bit about Iris and her situation? Because she's still she has given us recently some updates on her situation as well, because I think she's still cancer free.
I'm here, Jonathan.
Okay, go ahead, Dolores. Give us
Yes,
a little bit of an update on Iris.
Iris is doing excellent. She really is. She's still taking her micro daily and the EMF and some of the other products. She's doing good. Matter of fact, she's getting ready to do her 3rd cancer walk here in November. November 2nd, she'll be doing a cancer walk. So she's doing good. She's still doing excellent with the product. And she did excellent because she took the product, and I really appreciate how she went ahead and she started taking the product before she even went to the had that conventional treatment. And what she says is actually true, because I saw her on a regular basis, and she's a beautician. So she was right back at work not too long after she had gotten her surgery done, and she's still doing good.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the update on that. Okay, so let's do this. Alfreda, you're here.
Yes.
We didn't get a chance to talk about this, Alfreda, but I want to just tell everyone now a little bit about Brazil, because that was a very outstanding example that took place. And then give them some of the most current uh, information about her situation. So let's talk about that for a couple minutes, okay?
Okay.
So many of you, we shared with you some time ago now. I think it was back in, when did we talk about Brazil? Was that back in May or so when she had
Yeah, it run April or May.
April, May?
Yes.
And the reason I just thought it was a good idea now that we talk about this is because we haven't brought Brazil back up in quite a while, but her case was so outstanding. And we're not going to show you any of the pictures or photographs of her situation, but she was diagnosed with a fungating cancer. It was triple negative, right?
Yes, triple negative breast cancer.
And when she first, when Alfreda was first contacted about Brazil, it was just starting to bulge right out of her left breast.
Yeah, it started in August, and because she sent us the pictures, and it continued to grow and grow and grow.
That's August of 2023.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
And she contacted us like late January, February, got started on the products.
Right. And right around that time, that's when it ruptured through the skin.
Yes.
And broke through, and it grew to the point it fungated, and it just exploded. It didn't just rupture through; it exploded. It grew to the size of a football.
Yes.
So the largest size was about 11 inches across, and it was about 4 or 5 inches wide, and
Yes.
raised off the surface of her body by another 4 or 5 inches or so.
Yes.
And no one knows how deep it was inside her body, but it was about the size of a football. It was huge, and she was very uncomfortable.
Very frightening to
I
look
remember
at.
her first statements when we first talked to her. She said that here she's got this mass exploding out of her body, and she says, "Can you do anything for pain?" And that struck me as very odd. She was more concerned because I've never experienced pain the way that she was describing it. So that's why it stood out to me that she's asking about pain when she's got this thing trying to eat her alive. But she said she had 7 distinct places where she had level 10 pain, 7 spots that she could specifically count that she had level 10 pain. And so I told her, I said, well, the only thing that we can do for pain is try to help you resolve the issue. That's our best recommendation for you. And so she's got started on Dr. Prasad's recommendation. And
Mhm.
for those of you who are hearing this for the first time, Dr. Prasad's recommendation is to take high doses of antioxidants. And that's if you're using one of his products, Micro Daily, taking it at 3 times the normal amount, 2 to 3 times per day, is in the high dose antioxidant range. That's therapeutic levels
Yes.
of high dose. And that's what she did. She was taking it 3 times a day, right?
Yes.
And looking back in retrospect, this is about a month or so after she got started, she said that in the first week, there was like 2 places that no longer had the level 10 pain. And a week after that, I think it was 2 more places. So she went from 7 places down to maybe 3. And those 3 places, she said, were only level 4 pain. So that was kind of impressive to hear that. So, and Dr. Prasad's theory, his hypothesis is that the high doses of antioxidant blocks the uptake of glucose and glutamine.
Correct.
That's what was happening. So evidently, because there's no scientific, no clinical data to prove this one way or the other, but evidently, this thing that was eating her was now having a hard time feeding itself because it began to struggle with feeding. And Dr. Prasad said it. Dr. Prasad said, well, the reason why the pain would have stopped was because the cancer was no longer advancing. So those were his words.
And she also had uh, pieces of the tumor outside her breast started falling off. She would send us pictures One was, and she would, like one piece, she put a penny beside it to kind of show us the dynamics of it, you know, but it was getting, turning dark and indicating that the cancer was dying on the mass, and it was falling off
Mm-hmm.
slowly but surely. It was falling off.
And we all had hopes that that's exactly what would happen, is that one day this whole thing would just be on the floor.
Yeah.
But she kept asking the question. We kept asking the question, what's going to happen to it? This is uncharted territory.
Right.
These are uncharted waters. No one has been down this road before where a football-sized mass on the outside of a body is dying. So there was no way to answer any of those questions. So her family, though, and Brazil was a little bit nervous. They want to see quicker response, right? They want to see this thing resolve itself quicker, because even though she was feeling better, she went out to dinner. She was enjoying her
Yeah.
life to some degree.
Yeah, I have a very I have a video that her cousin sent me after she died, of her doing, because she was a modern dancer, and after she started taking the micro daily, Lynx is a piano player, and Brazil was a dancer, and so she played for her, and she had all this energy that she played for her, and she just danced, you know, while she had that huge mass on her breast, and it was really touching to see that.
That's remarkable. So that meant that Dr. Prasad's formula was doing its job, and it was giving her a measure of life and quality of life, which was kind of amazing. But they still wanted to see some faster response. So she went back and forth to the doctor, and the doctor recommended radiation. She did not want to take chemo, but she was finally willing to take radiation. And we weren't trying to tell her, well, I can say I wasn't trying to tell her what to do, because you had some conversation with her that I didn't have. But anyway, she finally decided that she was going to take the radiation. And after the second or third dose, that she was going to stop, because she
Yeah.
felt like the radiation was killing her.
Mm-hmm.
And she described that the doctor came in and sat down and said, "No, don't stop," and pleaded with her not to stop. And her words were, "That thing is dying. I've never seen a response like this before. It's dying, and it's continuing to die." And so she pleaded with her to continue. And with that, Brazil decided to go on and finish the treatments.
Yeah, two more.
2 more treatments of radiation after that. And sure enough, in the weeks to follow, it went from, oh, and by the way, when she started Dr. Prasad's formula, this is another thing to remember. She said it stopped growing. Because prior to that, it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's the other thing. The pain stopped, and she said, and it stopped growing. It was no longer getting any larger. Pieces were falling off, but it wasn't shrinking. But now, after the radiation, it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I still vividly remember the pictures, all the pictures showing it getting down to about 3 inches, and then it was eventually just gone. And the only damage that was there was the burns from the radiation on her skin, but it was completely gone.
Yeah, it was quite a lot of burns.
Yeah, quite a lot of burns. The struggle that we had, and this is not a commentary against the medical system or anything like that, but Brazil was not getting a lot of information from blood tests and things from the oncologists, and was not able to pass it on to our team. Some of the results that she was getting, they told her that there was no such thing as a cancer marker in the blood. She kept wondering, why were we asking her what's the latest cancer marker? She said, "What do you mean?" the doctor says there is no such thing as cancer markers in blood tests. And and again, it doesn't make any sense that this conversation was taking place like this. And prior to the radiation, I need to say this also, prior to the radiation treatment, the doctor told Brazil not to continue taking high doses of vitamin C or antioxidants. She said, you have to discontinue this because it will interfere with my treatment.
Mhm.
And Brazil asked us about it. And I said, well, let's just get her to talk to Dr. Prasad, the oncologist, to talk to Dr. Prasad. And Dr. Prasad was willing. And it was on a three-way call. I heard the entire conversation. And Dr. Prasad, there was no cordiality at all. He just went right into the clinical data. Here's what statistics say. There's research that says this, and you're correct. If taking low doses of antioxidant, it's best not to take that while being treated with chemo or radiation. But there is research in animal models that high doses of antioxidant has the opposite effect. It enhances the treatment. And because the doctor went totally quiet. And after Dr. Prasad stopped, she said, well, that's interesting. I'd like to read those studies. And she said, but I have no choice but to recommend that she stop taking it. And Dr. Prasad, that's your call. You're the doctor, which blew my mind. I expected him to tell her she was psychotic. And again, that's just my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that the doctor was psychotic, but I really was expecting him to just fight, right? And just dive in there and tell her that she needed to cooperate.
Mhm.
But he didn't. He said, you're the doctor. He said, you're the doctor. It's your decision. And I zipped it the whole time because, that's how you do it on a three-way call. The expert is the expert. So that was the end of the conversation. Brazil decided to continue taking it. The doctor, after the fact, said, I know you're still taking the products. And she said, after it was dying and shrinking, the doctor said, I don't have any more recommendations for you. We've never seen this before. We've never seen this before. She said, go back to the people that are helping you and follow their direction. So, but unfortunately, they also stopped providing information. And that's why I thought it was a good idea for us to go ahead and have this conversation now, because everyone is wondering, well, where is Brazil today? And I've finally done enough research and spoken to quite a few other doctors and those who have been very experts in this. In fact, there's one doctor, she has a record of being 100% successful in treating cancer. She's never had one failure. And I asked her, I said, is it possible that that mass was being reabsorbed in Brazil's body and now her body had to process that and it overwhelmed her liver? She said, yes. And everyone has said the same thing, is that her liver had to now process that. And so to make it official here, Brazil died. Even though she had been so successful and the entire program worked, her body could not process the debris, the dead cancer cells going through. So all this basically is indicating is that Dr. Prasad's brilliance is what it is, but at the exact same time, there needs to be several things. A medical team that agrees with whatever program the person is trying to go through. And sometimes it's a holistic and nutritional medicine, perhaps. But anyway, a team that can actually monitor everything about the person's well-being closely and provide up to the minute blood tests and data, so that the person knows exactly what's going on. And then at the same time, also, it's very important to have family members that are emotionally supporting you.
Yeah.
Because we can't intimate or say anything that she didn't have support, because she did have a very good support system.
Mm-hmm.
But very important, folks, very, very important to make sure that there are whatever protocol a person decides to follow, there has to be support. There's got to be positive reinforcement and support. because the minute that doubt, anger, and frustration comes into the equation, the person can start to lose ground and not continue their progress. So it was a sad day to hear that announcement, that the update that Brazil had died, because she wanted to live and she had a chance. She won. She actually had won the fight, and the mass was no longer there. But her body couldn't handle the success.
Well, did you want to mention about the radiation? The radiation was very harsh on her body. It actually, it was about 3 weeks she was complaining of back pain, only to find out that the radiation had put 2 holes in her spine. And that caused her to have to get back on what pain medicine I forget.
Oh, yeah. One of those cortisone ones. Yeah, real strong one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't. It'll come back. But that caused her to get back on that very oxycodone.
Yeah.
And oxycodone, early on, she had been taking that, and we were trying to get her off of that, because I discovered, and this is something that you need to know, causes heart palpitations. And she was having issues with that, her heart racing. And so, through some research, I found out that it was the oxycodone that was causing that. So she was able to get off of that. But then when she had all that pain after the radiation, she was forced to get back on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually what caused her downfall. Because I don't know how many she was taking per day, maybe 3, maybe 4, which is a very high amount for her with her small body frame.
Yeah.
Of course, it was bothering her heart again, and she went back to the hospital. And her sisters said that they had just gotten through dosing her, and then there was another nurse coming around to dose her again.
Oh my goodness.
And fortunately, her sister said, "Wait, you just dosed her." But Brazil, she was really trying to fight, because I had talked a lot with her about this, that every time you go back into the medical system, you are at their mercy. Okay.
That's
and
right.
They will, if you don't have things put in place to protect you, they will try to force you to do things that they want to do. So, but her sister told me that Brazil was like, she was refusing the oxycodone. She was like, "I'll just deal with the pain. I need to be awake." She knew she had to be awake to fight. And of course, that wasn't honored. And, they continued to dose her with that, to the point where she just didn't wake up anymore. And but I was glad to hear that she fought to the end, because she knew she had to be awake to take her micro daily products. She knew she had to be awake to be so she could be aware of what they were trying to do to her in case she wanted to refuse it. So afterwards, because it all came when I went on vacation for no less than not even a week. And I came back and called her. She was gone that day. And so I began looking into talking with family, talking with links, trying to figure out what could have happened that brought her to this point, because she sounded fine. She was in a phase 2 with us, of things that we had her on. But one caution I want to bring out, and I tell this to all cancer patients, this was one thing that we tried to get her to stop taking, and she didn't.
Yeah, this was quite unfortunate.
when I, you know, unfortunately, I thought because she had researched everything else that she had done research on this, and she was taking synthetic vitamin C shots. I want to tell you that, you know, that is like the absolute worst thing to put into your body. It's almost like it's a fad now because you can get it at spas, you know, or whatever. And but when I looked it up, and I wish I had looked it up before she passed, but when I looked it up, those shots actually have acetone in them. And yes, I mean the acetone that you use to take your nail polish off with. Now, I was like, oh my God, you know, how could that be beneficial at all? And those shots are full of glucose. And so we were, in the beginning, you know, didn't know what could have been making that tumor grow to the size that it did.
Mm-hmm.
And she was getting those shots weekly. And even links, you know, brought out that when she would get the shot, it seemed to get worse. It would bleed, you know, and things like that. She even had a moment where she had a really bad bleed out, you know. And so if you know people that have cancer, you know, glucose is the enemy. You know, definitely if you find out that they are taking those shots, encourage them to stop, because I believe that contributed to that growth, and the reason it was growing so fast. And so doing something like that, you know, the micro daily had to also fight against that.
Yes. Yes.
So it just, you know, presented a challenge that was, you know, insurmountable. You know, we thought that she had stopped taking them, but she hadn't.
Yeah, she had not told us everything, and we did not get all the information. And but you know, each person has to make their own decision about what they're going to do, and they've got to decide what path they're going to take based off their comfort level and their family's comfort level. So each person's got to kind of decide on that. But we encourage you guys to make sure that you do the research on any additional things. And no one has done more research than Dr. Prasad has done when it comes to cancer. And he's written several books on it, and the man is extremely successful. And his protocols have been very, very effective. But we just thought it was a good idea now to update you guys on Brazil. It's been, you know, it was not the easiest thing to talk about because, you know, we had grown fond of Brazil.
Yes.
It was success finally on triple negative breast cancer. It was massive success with a fungating cancer. But we could thank Corleen for being so brave and telling us about Olive last week that stimulated the nerve to say, go ahead and let's just give everybody the update on Brazil. And by the way, Alfreda did not know that we were going to have this conversation today. So thank you, Alfreda.
You're welcome. I really do miss her. She was special. And she was a fighter. I told her that all the time. She was a real fighter.
And quite brave.
Yes.
Quite brave and a very strong, strong woman. So, but thank you again.
You're welcome.
So here's the conclusion of Dr. Prasad's research that we were just talking about. Cancer requires two things. Get to you in 1 second there, Elizabeth. Glucose and glutamine in order to survive. Deprive the cancer cells of those two things, and they cannot continue to advance. Now, Dr. Prasad has come out right and said that cancer cells die, but I can't say that. But this is what we give you the quote on what Dr. Prasad actually said. So his recommendation is high doses of microdaily EMF along with probiotics. It turns out that every disease has a microbiome signature. So the bacteria in the gut reflects the condition of the body. So his proposal and recommendation is to tip the balance of the microbiome in favor of beneficial bacteria in the gut. His probiotic is not the totality of all beneficial bacteria, but it is the foundation along with the prebiotics of the best of them that will support good health. So we highly, highly, highly recommend that you follow through on that. This is the Micro Daily EMF Hydro, and this is Dr. Prasad's probiotic daily. And for those who are fighting something like breast cancer, this may be the bundle that you want to get, is the Micro Daily EMF. And then just buy this as a bundle first because it has the probiotic included. And then add on 2 additional bottles or boxes of Micro Daily in addition to that. So, Elizabeth, you have a question or comment, please?
The
Elizabeth.
conversation just reminded me of my husband's situation. This was long before we knew about microdaily, of course. He had prostate cancer that we treated without any surgery or chemotherapy or radiation. And he actually was considered to be cancer-free. But the thing that was impressive about the situation was his oncologist, Dr. Marcucci, who was with Ochsner in New Orleans. On one of our visits to him, was impressed with the progress that my husband was making, simply doing natural things and getting rid of sugar and those kind of things. He actually broke down in tears and said that he felt that he had failed his grandfather, I believe, or maybe it was his father. He treated him the traditional way. And he said, I'm sorry to say that what killed my father was not the cancer, but the outcome, the result of radiation and chemotherapy. So we thought that was impressive, that he would tell us that. And he encouraged my husband to continue to do the same thing. It turns out, though, 10 years later, my husband succumbed to what the doctor said was a fast-growing lymphoma on the kidney. In 2 weeks, it had starved the blood supply to the kidney. So my husband did not die of cancer, he died of kidney failure. But I always remember Marcucci's statement that what kills most cancer patients is not the cancer, but the treatment, chemotherapy and radiation. So.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your very personal experience with that. And as we hear comments here from different ones, just realize, folks, that these are all personal comments, and what they're sharing is what they believe to be true and what happened to them in their situation. Corleen, please.
Good evening or good afternoon, Jonathan. I think the conversation that we have to have with our customers, our prospects, our team is when people talk about affordability. Because so often I hear people tell me, can't afford it, Jonathan. But then when there's nothing else that the doctor can do, then guess what? They can afford it.
Yeah. So
how do we, how do we work through that?
That's a very good question, Corleen, and I'm glad that you're raising that point, because people need to understand something. I look back now over the years, and I've been personally trying to find the most affordable way for a person, an average person like us, to be able to fight the most deadly disease out there, the one that people die when they're told that they've got cancer. They just don't want to die a horrible death. Um, and I've got quite a few things, natural things that could be very helpful to a person. All of them are extremely expensive, all of them. For example, I have one gentleman who had esophageal cancer, but it would cost somewhere upwards of $1,000 per month. Even Immunical, we had a man with glioblastoma, 14 masses in his head. And as long as he was taking high doses of Immunical, every one of those masses was shrinking and getting smaller. He had quality of life. But who can afford $1,400 a month for the rest of your life consuming that? But micro daily is in a whole different league. I cannot believe how inexpensive it is to take therapeutic doses of this product and have the kind of effect that we saw in Brazil. At the most, if she just stuck with micro daily alone and probiotic, if that's all she did, it would have been, let's see, 3 bottles here. So $109 to start, and then 2 more at $85 each, then 1 more to take that extra dose. So we're talking 4 bottles per month. So that's not even $400 a month. Now, granted, $400 is still a lot of money for some people, but folks need to understand that we are talking about your life, so it's barely a car payment. That's a car payment these days. So, but we're talking about your life. So I really hope that in some way we can help people to see that this is within reach, that living is within reach, and quality of life is within reach. Now, mind you, as again, we have to make this, the disclaimer, microdaily does not treat or cure or heal, but it's putting life in your body so your body now can do what it's designed to do. So do you have another suggestion on that, Courtney?
I do.
One of the things that we did with one family, and again, they waited until the end, but their family came together. So it was a mother, and she had children, and they all came together, and one bought product, and then another one bought product, and another one bought product, and it became affordable.
Yeah.
The thing that happened, however, was they waited until they had exhausted everything else. When the doctor said there's nothing else we can do, then they decided they wanted to try this product.
Yeah.
And somehow we've got to flip that. So people are, I don't know if it's more exposure, if people getting on calls, listening to this information, over and over again, so that they understand, yes, I do have a choice. Because, Patrice Johnson has always said that once they give you a cancer diagnosis, they frighten you. Like everything has to happen quickly. You have to do it right away.
That's right.
So you don't get to make any choices. And so somehow I think as we spread the word about this product, we just have to make sure that we're there and we're supporting people. And then when they get the product, that they use it correctly. And I think there has to be this is what the therapeutic dosage looks like. It's 9 pills 3 times a day, or it's 3 sachets 3 times a day, or a combination, but that's what it is. And I think we have to be very uniformed when we're presenting the information, so it's the same everywhere.
That's it. Okay, then I think we need to just make sure that we're all on the same page with that too. So thank you for sharing that. Alfreda, you have a comment on how to put this in affordable terms in people's mind?
Yes, I was going to say the same thing with my mother. I sent a letter to all of the family heads, like her sisters and everybody. And I just asked them, because when she first got diagnosed, she didn't have any health insurance, and the surgery was going to be over $6,000. So at any one of my family reunions on my mom's side, there's like 300 adults. Okay. So I requested if people could donate $20 per person. And what ended up happening was two of my uncles, my father's brothers, they gave $2,000 each. You know, and so you have to, you know, I was able to put that out there. But when we're working with people that are just getting started, you know, we can help them. And that's why it's really becoming important to not only talk to the person that has cancer, but I need to talk to your support people.
The support network has to be
from the beginning.
Yeah,
from the beginning. So let's talk some ideas. Another thing that I did, like with Brazil and her cousin. So I signed up Brazil as an affiliate, and then I signed up Links as a preferred customer.
So she was now getting referral commissions off family members, and that's their way of being able to support her.
Yes. Yeah. And that was you know, they get that kickback, plus she got the all of it bonus. So that gave her and all I would order under Brazil was one EMF and one probiotic. But then the bulk of the rest of the products I ordered under her cousin. So she really got a nice you know, all of it bonus, you know, allowing her to use that to buy products when she needed. And she had people that she had already set up to kind of help her with the payments, you know. And so various times she would call me and say, well, let's juggle this or whatever. But again, keeping to the same schedule. So it's up to us as because we're consulting with that person.
And part of the consulting is helping them to be able to
afford it.
Yeah, and find a way to
coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
You know, do you know anybody that may benefit from this product? They can become referrals for that person, and then they get all of it bonus that they can use to buy products too.
Excellent. That's very good additional comments there, Frida. Thank you very much. Before we conclude this discussion, I asked Carmen to come on this program also because Carmen heard Brazil's story, and Carmen had been fighting triple negative breast cancer. She heard Brazil's story. She watched the video where Brazil told her story. And Carmen, thank you very much for joining us in this discussion. She just stepped out of a meeting and went right to her car and jumped right on. You want to give us an update, Carmen? Tell us how you benefited from. We just told Brazil's story, the whole story that you saw in the video. We just gave the updates on that. Could you mind just telling us what happened to you?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer a year ago, August. And I was doing a lot of holistic things all along the way, but I was not completely getting better. I was feeling okay, but things were not, I was not completely getting better. So a friend of mine told me about Micro Daily and you, Jonathan. And so on June 17th of this year, I started taking the Micro Daily. Well, June 21st, I had a doctor's appointment, my oncologist, and he did blood work, and he said, you know, go get a PET scan because I know it's going to be good. So I was kind of surprised because I didn't know it was going to be that quick. But anyway, I did the PET scan. July 11th, I did the PET scan, and then July 16th, he told me that he was amazed the tumors were gone except for one lesion left on a rib. So I have been taking the Micro Daily since June 17. And so, you know, my husband and I were ecstatic because we couldn't believe that quick. Within 3 to 4 weeks, I was doing so much better. So anyway, after that, I had another appointment with the oncologist, and he told me that he wanted to do a special test. It's called Signatera test, and it goes back to the original tumor, and they do a DNA testing, and after they do that, they can see if there's any cancer left. Well, the doctor told me, well, I know there's still going to be some left, and I said, no, it's not. It's going to be 0. So he says to me, well, I'm going to do this test. It takes 6 weeks. So during the interim, I didn't want to get any more chemo because it wasn't it was doing harm to my body. So I told him that I was waiting for the results, and then I would see how to go forward on that. So I waited the 6 weeks, which was like 2 weeks ago on Friday. And when I was talking, when I went in, he says, good news. And I didn't know what he was going to say after that, but he showed me his laptop and said, it's 0. You have no cancer left in your, I was like, again, flabbergasted. And so he says to me, I'm amazed, but he said, I guess, so it's been 12 weeks since my last chemo, and I'm so glad because I'm finally, getting better with the peripheral neuropathy and also osteoporosis. I'm working on that, but otherwise, he said I'm clear of cancer for now. So he wants to see me in 3 months to make sure that this, so I'm continuing to taking the micro daily at the dose 3 times a day. Sometimes I do twice a day because now that I'm doing better, I'm kind of thinking that, and I need to talk to you about it. Should I just, because it's been almost 4 months now. So I've been thinking, do I need to go down a little? Oh, my. So anyway, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because what do I need to do now?
Well, we'll definitely discuss it. Dr. Prasad recommends continuing with the therapeutic doses and gradually reducing. So
Right.
let's have that conversation tomorrow, okay?
All right.
Don't stop taking it. Don't.
Oh, I'm not going to stop. I don't want to stop taking it. It's just that I wonder if I can start reducing it some.
Right.
Yeah, he'll help you do that. But thank you so much, because we told Brazil, I said we told Brazil, if you share your story, you don't know how many people you're going to help.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that makes me smile that she helped you like that.
Yeah, Jonathan, I've given your 800 number to like a plethora of people, so you're going to be bombarded.
and bombardment is a good thing. So, and your story right now is going to help a lot of people.
Yes.
And I can't wait to share this with Dr. Prasad. So, thank you very much again, Carmen, for being willing to step forward and share.
All right. Take care.
So, Corleen, you had a follow-up comment?
No, I'm driving. I didn't put my hand down. You put it down for me, please.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
So, and I thank you very much for kicking in those comments, Corleen. We need that, because everyone who's on here needs to know that we're running into things in the field that we want people to know about, and those are very real issues that have to be addressed. But at the exact same time, we're concluding our discussion now, folks. I just share with you just real quick a couple of things. The digestive boost, this is phenomenal for aiding the body in processing food. When you're sick and fighting a disease, you need extra support. The CBD boost, excellent for anxiety in dealing with a serious disease. The brain boost. Have you ever heard of chemo brain? This stuff is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to keeping your brain focused, having trouble sleeping. Dr. Prasad has there's not one single thing that we have that is not extremely valuable, especially in the case of someone who's fighting serious disease. The omega-3 daily, outstanding for neuropathy. So outstanding, and including the chemo-induced neuropathy. You can add this to it, but very good for blood circulation and other things. So take advantage of that. The only thing that Dr. Prasad recommends is that if you are fighting active cancer, don't take the collagen daily. But like in Carmen's case, her doctor has now told her she does not have any cancer. They can't find a trace of the cancer in her body anymore. So now she can take the collagen daily, and it will help her. She get all the additional benefits of having collagen peptides in her body. So she can shift to that. So if you are wanting to buy this bundle at this big discount here, buy it, but just save the collagen for later, for when you're done, when you're after you're declared cancer free, then you can start taking the collagen, but take advantage of the deal, because this deep discount right here is insane. It's an insane discount that you're looking at right there. And but whoever invited you can explain that to you, because I'm just out of time right now. That's why I'm going through this kind of quickly right now. So these are the bundles. At the very minimum, you want the basic bundle on the bottom. Okay, at the very minimum, you want the basic bundle on the bottom. 3 times the normal doses of microdaily. 3 times the normal dose. So microdaily EMF, the normal dose is 3 capsules twice a day. 3 times that is 9 capsules at least twice a day. In serious cases, it's 9 capsules 3 times a day. That's what Brazil did. And that's what Carmen has done. So those, especially dealing with this triple negative breast cancer and other ones, they just go triple, triple, triple. So 999 is what they're doing. If you go mix it with the original formulas of microdaily, then that would be something totally different. You would just go higher doses. The second and third dose could be just 2 additional capsules of the others. But again, the person who invites you, they can help you to figure that out. If you're using the hydro, it would be 3 packs of hydro 3 times a day. Bam, bam, bam. Make sure you take it with food, because it wants to try to bring your sugar levels down, and so it will help you tremendously if you do that. But get back with the person who invited you to this discussion, and they will help you. So we're just getting started in talking about breast cancer. So we will stay on this subject for the entire month. So if you know someone that is benefiting, you know someone who needs to hear some of this information and how it can possibly benefit them, we have additional testimonials that we're just looking forward to sharing them with you. So including one of my favorite is the woman who decided that she wanted to be anonymous, but she wrote details about her entire story. And so we'll share that with you next week. Okay, so look forward to having you guys back with us next week. Now, there was someone had a question that we want to try to slip in here real quick. And the question had to do with peritoneal carcinoma. Peritoneal carcinoma. The peritoneal is a person who's taking a dialysis, and a dialysis that they can do at home is called peritoneal dialysis. So they have the equipment at home, and they use a portion. There's a thin membrane that acts as a filter. It's between the stomach and the outer and the muscle here in the body. So that peritoneal is right there, and they literally pull the toxins through there, and it filters it out. That's how they use this peritoneal dialysis. So if a person is dealing with peritoneal carcinomatosis, that's a real challenge. But that type of cancer is no different. Dr. Prasad has said it, that even no matter what the cancer is, it has to uptake glucose, and it has to uptake glutamine. If those cancer cells, no matter where they are deprived of the ability to uptake glucose and glutamine, they simply can't continue to advance. So highly, highly, highly recommend probiotic boost and the therapeutic doses of microdaily, so that the immune system can do what it's designed to do. And thank you guys so much for all your fine comments there in the chat as well, because all of that is very helpful in supporting those who have additional questions. Now, some of you are going to have some more questions. Well, next week we'll try to take a little bit more time to address some of those questions. We'll have Dr. Prasad back with us as well, and we'll try to see what we can do about addressing as many questions as possible. One final question here. Cynthia has a question just as we're about to wrap up.
Quickly. Good evening.
Good evening.
My husband, he had prostate cancer. He has been free for 2 years. What do you suggest I give him just to prevent it from coming back?
Same thing
Yeah.
that I do. I take double the normal amount of microdaily every day. And
Just microdaily.
you gotta always include the probiotic boost. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Thank
at least the standard amount of probiotic and double the normal amount of microdaily every day. And of course, it all depends on how old he is. But I'm 62, so I don't play around with it. I don't want to get prostate cancer or any other kind of cancer personally. Hope that helps.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody. Thank you guys so very much for your support and for your input. Alfreda, thank you very much.
Great job, Jonathan. Great job, Alfreda. Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you,
My team,
Jonathan.
615.
Take care, everybody.
Very good.
All right, Jeff, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you all.
Thank